Hi guys, welcome to my second vlog on skills and capacity in acceleration and agility. Before we move forward, let's take a closer look on what these terms actually mean. Skill, the athlete's ability to control their body accurately and efficiently. Capacity, capacity is the athlete's ability to express a given force. Now, if we talk about acceleration, acceleration abilities are highly governed by Newton's first and second law of motion, especially Newton's second law of motion, which says the acceleration of an object as produced by a net force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the net force in the same direction as the net force and inversely proportional to the mass of the object. I highly think that my approach towards skills and capacity development for an athlete is highly interdependent, and without either of them, none of the qualities can be worked upon. In this vlog, I've taken three athletes that have no mobility restrictions but still face issues when it comes to executing the skill with the right amount of intensity. When we just go through the first video, the mechanics of the athlete A looks decent, but considering I work with a lot of tennis athletes, the most important steps are the first two steps. Unlike, unlike the typical acceleration models, which talks about maintaining a forward lean while accelerating, tennis athletes tend to be more upright while accelerating due to the nature of the sport. In the next slide, I've taken a screenshot of the first step, and we can clearly see that the athlete lacks the capacity to optimize the direction of force in an effort to maximize horizontal velocity due to the lack of triple extension. Now, let's take a look at the athlete B and C again. Considering the first two steps are very important in a sport like tennis, I've taken a screenshot again of both the athletes which are unable to maintain a positive touchdown distance. The other two athletes seen in the video have a smaller touchdown distance and are inefficient in producing horizontal propulsive forces, and hence the following drills were recommended to ensure that the athlete produces larger horizontal force by creating a larger positive touchdown and improve their skill. Now coming back on the second portion of the skills and capacities in agility. And agility is a rapid whole body movement with change of velocity or direction in response to a stimulus, as defined by Shepard and Young 2006. In a sport like tennis, the agility demands highly depends on the stimulus, that is, where on the court the athlete is anticipating to hit or to receive the ball. We've decided the movement or footwork patterns into three: pivot step, swap step, and volleys. The following steps are actually different ways of how an athlete can cover the court depending on how and where he has to hit the ball. Failing to use a different type of footwork pattern can lead to losing the point. Now, let's take a look at athlete 1, which demonstrates how a pivot steps look like. The athlete approaches towards her forehand side and tries to pivot, but lacks the capacity to decelerate. The pivot steps puts an athlete into a position to cover the other side of the court as quickly as possible. To improve the capacity of the athlete, we gave her few deceleration drills along with general resistance training program, so the athlete, number 1, can decelerate well, number 2, can ensure that her center of mass stays closer to the center of gravity. Now, let's look at the skills in agility. The athlete 2 in the video is demonstrating how to perform a swap step. The swap step helps the athlete, number 1, to generate a lot of power by rotating the hips. Number 2, it puts them into a position to recover back quickly. Notice how the athlete, post hitting the ball, swaps the step and crosses over laterally, helping the athlete to look at the next shot and recover optimally. Again, what can be a better way to show how to execute this swap step by actually feeding few balls as seen in the video, which helps in direct transfer of that movement during the actual matches and tournaments. Coming back to skill number 2, volleys. Again, the footwork for hitting a volley changes, as seen in the video and the screenshot. First, the athlete loads the outside leg, executes the shot, and then loads the other leg forward, ensuring a good position to move forward and get into a better position to hit the ball. Skill number 3, the pivot step. Pivot step can be one of the most important footwork that allows the player to recover when athlete doesn't have enough time to hit the ball. Notice how in the screenshot the athlete pivots the left leg and opens up the hip of the other leg to move in the direction of the ball. During most sporting events, an athlete's movements are initiated in response to the dynamic and specific circumstances of the external environment. Hence, the ability to respond appropriately to perceived task-relevant cues, characteristics of a particular situation is advantageous. Again, to execute the pivot, the athlete goes through a series of hitting drills to ensure that the skill transfer can be maximum during the actual play. There can be a lot of drills we usually teach our athletes as shown in the videos to ensure that the athlete pivots well and decelerate efficiently to get into better positions. A general strength and conditioning program along with basic feeding drills that can help improve mechanics are recommended to ensure that there's maximal transfer on the court. Thank you.